Hello, and welcome to another episode of Mythkeepers. We're your hosts. I am Scott, and joining me as always, he's the growliest boy, and he's back! It's
Hell
Zack
yeah.
Attack. How are you doing, buddy? So growly.
I could be a purry boy, like Recent. Recent tends to purr.
He does. That's our dichotomy right now, isn't it? Like Reese purrs and Tam growls, and that tells us everything we need to know about these two characters, I think.
Honestly, yeah, man.
Honestly, not far off. Zach, what are we doing here? What is this? This is new.
Back.
Hell yeah.
Well, it's new-ish.
Yeah, it's new, but it's not.
You know, to a lot of you guys out there who are in the Discord and on the Patreon, you guys knew that we had made the decision to move forward with the ACOTAR series. Scotty and I enjoyed the first one enough to say, hey, let's keep this thing rolling. We got no pressure from you guys to do it, none whatsoever. We didn't fear for our lives in the slightest. We decided of our own accord that we're going to continue reading the ACOTAR series. So we are back to jump into A Court of Mist and Fury.
With the sick owl on the cover.
It's not an owl. It's a fucking
definitely
crow,
an owl.
raven,
I definitely have
bird.
eyes and know how to use them. It's
Yeah,
definitely an owl. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, so listen, if you guys are new here, we're going to be talking about 8 chapters at a time. Okay, today will be chapters 1 through 8, discussing our thoughts, impressions, theories, kind of ins and outs, and our initial take on A Court of Mist and Fury, which, by the way, Scott, I do hear from a lot of people that this is their favorite of the series.
Yeah, wasn't that
I think it's
Emily told
Emily's,
us, right?
Yes. Yeah, I think this is Em's favorite book. My cousin, who's also a big fan, says that this is her favorite as well, and I think many people in the Discord have said that it's their favorite as well. Yeah, so we're here to do that thing. We have a couple of things to take care of beforehand. I've mentioned the Discord a couple times. So one, if you guys are new here, if you're just now finding us, you can find our episodes. If you're on YouTube, you can also find them on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you're finding us on those podcast platforms, just so you know, we do have a video version if you want to hang out and watch us talk about fairy porn. That's cool. You guys can do that on YouTube.
When you say it like that.
Well, I mean, that might be what entices people. We have a Discord with many of you amazing myth creepers and filthy commons alike, hanging out, talking about the books, talking about our reactions to the books in a spoiler okay chat we do not get into.
You don't know how much
locked down
restraint it takes when I see like that it's lit up, like there's new messages in the different servers, not to click that one. I have to remind myself every time.
Yeah, I turned off all the notifications for that one. I just don't. Yeah. So, yeah, we have a space for you guys to live in to talk about spoiler stuff, spoiler content, talk about how we're reacting, if we're wrong, if we're right, which is a lot of fun. Yeah, we are always right. And then we talk about everything else, too. We got Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, which is currently going on. So do those things. We'll put all the links down below. This intro has been long enough, but the last thing I need to take care of is we have a couple very special thank yous to those of you myth creepers who have decided to support us on the Patreon. We want to thank you, Jordan. This is, I believe, your first thank you on the podcast. Thank you so much for joining the Patreon, and everybody else. We've got Nathan, Jen, Allie, Chaz, Jenna, Terrence, Andrea, Emma, Kristen, Sarah, and Hannah. We love you guys so much, and we appreciate the support. And we will continue thanking you guys until our dying breaths.
Hell yeah. Big hell yeah for the patrons. We love you guys.
And also, if you guys don't support, we still love you.
Yeah.
We thank you guys for listening and watching. You just will always be a filthy common. You won't transcend to the status of a myth creeper.
Thank you for watching and supporting in any way that you can. But yeah, he's right, though. So this is ACOMAF, A Court of Mist and Fury. We are doing chapters 1 through 8. Quick housekeeping. This is our plan for the first, 8 chunks we're going to do? Is 8 chapters, I believe, a piece?
Yes.
At the very least for the next several episodes. I don't remember how many it's going to be breaking down into, but it will be 8 chapters per episode. So, of course, starting out today, we are doing chapters 1 through 8. And this book kind of just gets right into it, Zach.
Chapter 2, somebody's getting right into something.
Oh, there's a lot of getting into some things. But no, I'm more talking about the intrigue and the plotting and the new characters. I think we get one for sure major new character, probably 2 if I had to guess.
Yeah.
But do you want to give an overall feeling on this chunk, or how do you want to do this? Do we need to recap what we thought about last book, or?
Well, just super quick. Scotty and I both finished ACOTAR.
Mm-hmm.
We
just jumped into this one
about a month and a half ago, was it?
Sure. Yeah, that sounds about right.
And we mostly enjoyed the book.
Mm-hmm.
It had its issues.
Yeah.
And I think we don't have to recap everything, but I think one thing I want to bring attention to, because I think I'm already seeing this get resolved for me personally, is I really struggled with the lack of characters
mm-hmm.
and the lack of introduction to the world.
Yes.
Last book is a lot of telling instead of showing.
Mm-hmm.
And I really struggled with that. I felt like the viewpoint was just way too narrow.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that really is my overall thought is here in this batch of 8 chapters. I was pleasantly surprised. I feel like we're living in a bigger world already from just the first 8 chapters.
For sure. 100%.
And that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
So I'm happy.
I share pretty much the same sentiments as you. Hey, go listen to the collab episode we did with Emily from the Heroines podcast to get our full book 1 thoughts. There's a little plug for you. But no, I have a ton of notes, Zach. We had better jump right in here and start out with chapter 1. Our girl Feyre,
the prologue or chapter 1.
Oh, well, I guess the prologue, and it leads right into chapter 1. I didn't separate it out in my notes, but
okay.
It's like that's like the nightmares, right? It's kind of the prologue.
Yeah, exactly.
So she's having nightmares about killing the innocent Fae, the 2 innocent Fae that she had to kill, and she's envisioning one as herself. She's killing herself in the dream, stabbing herself.
Mm-hmm.
We find out it's been 3 months since what happened underneath the mountain, and she obviously is going through, and we'll see this a lot through these chapters, PTSD.
Yes,
from this horrendous ordeal that she went through. She's having nightmares constantly. She's got we see a bunch of times she's got very much a sense of claustrophobia from her time spent in the cells.
Yes.
She's sick at night. She throws up a lot.
She's also feeling a lot of survivor's guilt, while
for sure.
also feeling, I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe this is just my interpretation, but I felt like she was almost afraid that monster lives in her. That she's capable of that. I was getting those types of feelings as well. So almost a little afraid of herself.
A little bit.
And what she could be.
She also feels like she doesn't deserve it, for sure. Like you said, the survivor's guilt. She feels like she's nothing, and she's with the love of her life now, and feels like she doesn't deserve to be happy a lot of times.
Right.
Which is interesting stuff. I am glad, and we talked about this at the end of the last book, that we had better see the repercussions of this. Because if they just try to brush past the fact that she killed 2 people,
yes.
that's not great. But thankfully that has not been the case at all.
Yes, it's been good to live in a space where, like, yes, we're in a fantasy world with these perfect people, but, you know, like, you need to give them human emotions, and you need time to work through that stuff. So yeah, great work, SJM, for doing that. Also, Scott, did you notice that the first part of this book, what we are in currently, is called The House of Beasts?
I did not. I think I read that and then immediately forgot.
Yes, so apparently there are 3 parts in this book, and I did not look at the other names.
Well, you better not.
But yes, the part that we're in is called The House of Beasts.
Okay. Interesting.
So, yeah, so chapter 1 kind of kicks off. It's 3 months since Under the Mountains. So 3 months have gone by since everything, and just like you said, she begins vomiting, and I have a little note here saying, I guess we're already kicking this thing off with watery bowels, because that was a joke from last book.
You love that joke.
I love watery bowels.
You love a good watery bowel. I love that Alice is constantly getting pissed at her because she keeps breaking stuff with her Fae body. Like, Alice has to take all the breakable vases, like, that cannot be replaced, out of her room because she is not used to her Fae body yet.
Yes.
But also, very interestingly, she hasn't heard anything from Reese. It has been 3 months. She was supposed to be with him 1 week a month, but nothing so far, and, like, no one is acknowledging it. Like, she hasn't talked to Tam or Lucian about it. They haven't spoken about it. I think she says something to the effect of, like, I feel we all felt that just saying his name or talking about it would just summon him. You know, into the room. So
Beetlejuice.
Reese is just Beetlejuice in this situation. I did like this quote from her I put down here. I hadn't felt like Reeson's enemy the last time I'd spoken to him in the hours after Amarantha's defeat. I'd told no one about that meeting, what he'd said to me, what I'd confessed to him. Be glad of your human heart, Feyre. Pity those who don't feel anything at all. So this is already establishing, and we see a bunch more of this, is Tam and Feyre are not really communicating.
Oh, yeah, no.
At all. Like, they communicate in one way, and that's going to Pound
I don't
Town.
think he's capable of communication.
Boy, do we need to start already with... By the way, you watchers and listeners out there, and also I blame you on this, Zach, because you were the one that told me the nickname Tampon was apparently a big old giant spoiler of letting us know that this guy is going to act like a piece of shit at some point. Not that he didn't already in the first book.
Hey, what is inherently wrong with tampons? Why should that mean?
You know what? You got me there. I guess my point
Scott,
is
you
more...
sexist piece of shit.
Yeah.
You.
I guess my point is more that you don't give the name Tampon to someone who's great. You know?
Yeah. I don't... Yeah, I was getting very frustrated with Tamlin.
Oh boy, we'll talk about that more later. But yeah, they that like I said, my point is they do not communicating. She is keeping secrets from him.
They do not communicating.
Is that what I said? God damn it. They do not communicating. She is keeping secrets from him. He is not telling her jack shit. So yeah, not a great start for them getting back together for their relationship wise.
Yes. I also like that this chapter ends with her, or it's close to the end anyway. Like, she's kind of just admitting to herself that she broke herself apart in her saving of the Fey realm from Amarantha. And yeah, you know, I mean, you kind of touched on this earlier. And we talked about this in the last book, but I really appreciate and respect when things are like, I think just like handled in a way that like humanize the things that people go through. I mean, just in general, like it's fantasy, like they live in this like perfect, like beautiful spring court land place, and it's a romance, it would be too easy to just like, oh, like things are just perfect now.
Well, we got a lot of that in the first book, and you and I complained about it plenty. So.
Right. But yes, it feels like already in even just the first chapter, this book is giving us most of everything that we felt like we were missing from the first book.
Feyre at some point here says it had become our unspoken agreement not to let Amarantha win by acknowledging that she still tormented us in our dreams and waking hours. Because Tam also is still like, has like nightmares, and he'll like wake up and turn into a beast, and then he'll just like lay at the foot of the bed and be all freaked out. So he's also not in a good way, but again, they don't talk about it like at all.
No. Communication, guys. You gotta
listen,
gotta go to therapy or something.
I understand it's not probably a comfortable conversation, but yeah, the idea that listen, I know very well this because this is the Scott strat. You ignore their problems long enough, they'll just go away on their own. But like not acknowledging Amarantha and what happened at all is not letting her win for this relationship. That's not going to go well.
Right.
That's all I had for chapter 1. You?
No, that's everything.
Okay.
Chapter 2, we find out that Tamlin proposed to Feyre, and the wedding is like very soon.
It's in 2 weeks.
And also, they've been partying. Like, there's been a lot of drinking and dancing, and she's just like, I kind of don't love this. This kind of sucks.
She's a little over it. Like, it's a lot of just like meeting all the like people of the realm or whatever.
Yes.
They had kind of festival, and she was just like, this is kind of exhausting.
Well, and also people are showing. Wait, is that this chapter or is that next chapter? Like people showing up for the wedding, and she's like having to entertain them.
I think it's a little later, but I mean, stuff like that happens throughout.
I have to say, I don't think I acknowledged this until now that we're, I guess, like processing our notes together. Knowing what we know about later during the wedding, I think that Sarah J. Maas did a really incredible job of kind of like showing us what it might be like inside the mind of somebody who's like questioning where they're at, like leading up to a big event like this wedding. Because like I read this stuff as like, I have a note here. I don't know if maybe I just was disengaged while listening to this chapter, but Feyre seems very distant, maybe a little bit sour for some reason. And like now knowing where this goes in a few chapters and how she's just like, I'm not really into this. It's almost like, somebody who at the altar is like, I don't know that I want to do this. Yeah. Like you're seeing those breadcrumbs.
Right.
I think it's really good because I felt it, and I felt it enough to take a note of those feelings, but I just don't think I realized exactly what they were.
That's good that that's good that you caught on to that, because up until like the wedding scene, I was not like, I was catching on to the fact that she was not into all the like the bureaucracy and bureaucracy may not be the right word for it, but like her being like the lady of the spring court, like having to shake the hands and kiss the babies, like every time there was a scene with that happening in it, she was just like, I want to be somewhere else. Like I'm not into this. So yes, it totally makes sense that when we get to that point, all that kind of comes back and like, hey, maybe this isn't what I want to do right now. Because as I alluded to earlier, the only real connection they have right now is
he lays it down really good.
He's great at laying that pipe. Like, he's long and thick and hard or something like that we got here in chapter 2. And every other time they're not doing the hot and dirty, they're kind of not getting along, which probably not the best recipe for a great, long-term immortal relationship. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because, here she is. Tam and Lucian are hunting down some of Amarantha's, remaining beasts, and they're helping rebuild, the local village. She wants to come help, but Tam just straight up won't allow it. He says it's too dangerous, and as much as she asks him and, pleads for it, he's just, straight up no. Here's something I took great note of, Zach. I think this super supports your big theory about her and a certain Lord of the Night Court having maybe some kind of what does he call it? Imprinting bond mate thing.
Yes.
This is a quote from Feyre because they were having their festival thing. Mentioning that my birthday had also fallen on that longest night of the year was a fact I'd conveniently forgotten to tell anyone. That's going to be important. 100%. Her birthday is on the longest night of the year. Come on.
Interesting. I did not pick up on that.
Yeah, I wondered if you did. I caught that. I was like, oh, her birthday's on the longest night of the year and she's not telling anyone? Oh, boy.
Yeah, just wait till Rhysand gives her the longest night of her year.
True. And then, Zachary, where's my air horn? We have a new character alert for, the first time in forever.
In fucking forever?
Ianthe? How are you saying this?
Ianthe? Ianthe is how they say it in the audiobook. Okay. Could be wrong.
She's a high priestess. She's a high fae noble and childhood friend of Tamlin's, and she's kind of taken it upon herself to help plan the wedding festivities.
I do want to say where she kind of meets her is Tamlin is like, can you fucking go do something? Can you just please get the fuck out of my face and stop asking and being a child and asking for stuff? Go do something. Is that what he did? Basically, he's like, yeah, can you just go paint?
Yeah, he did say that.
He literally is like, how about painting? Can you go over there and paint?
Yeah.
She's like, fine. So she goes and she
can't paint, by the way, right?
She
now.
Can't paint. She's
way too fucked up to paint.
Yes. She says that she's stopped cataloging color and images. Yeah, she's very disconnected from that, which is a very personal part of her relationship or of her self, I guess.
Yeah, it's especially concerning considering now that she's a fae, supposedly she has way more sense of color and sound and all that kind of stuff. So,
yeah. And also, she still needs to awaken those magical painting powers.
Yeah, they're coming.
We theorize, they're coming.
Just don't you wait. They're coming. They're coming.
Okay, yes. So yeah, she meets Ianthe, whatever. Ian. And I like this. I think this very quickly establishes her position. So earlier in the chapter, we learned that Feyre's wanting to carry a blade and take fighting lessons and shit like that. And Tamlin is like, no, we don't want to send the wrong message.
Right.
And she's like, well, what the fuck message are you talking about? So finally, we get this interaction with Ianthe, and she says, why should the bride of a High Lord learn to be a fighter if peace has truly returned? And I almost, in a way, am kind of getting an Umbridge vibe from her.
Oh, sure.
I could be misplaced because then a little bit later in the chapter, it almost seems like they have this kind of friendship thing little bit. So yeah, it was a little strange, but
let me tell you who I immediately thought of, the vibe I got from her, especially here early, maybe a little less later, but do you know Effie from the Hunger Games?
Oh yeah,
I was getting like an
I could see
Effie
that
vibe from her, who's like, she's kind of Katniss's friend, but not.
but also
She's like just in with the Capitol, and she's
yes,
not a great person, but she's like kind to Katniss and tries to do the best for them, and like is picking out their dresses and stuff like that.
Right, sure. That's a great comparison. I'm glad you said that. I feel that for sure.
But I mean, also like then later when it's like it becomes very clear that like, like, hey, our girl Ian here is like a hot commodity. Like,
yeah,
everybody wants a piece of that Ian. We probably shouldn't call her Ian.
Right, yeah. I mean, hey.
Ianthe. So yeah, no alarm bells. No alarm bells were ringing here yet when they were talking about this, because I was like, okay, like I see the logic, like I don't agree with it. Like if Feyre wants to learn how to like fight, she should be able to. But I see the logic of like, listen, everyone needs to calm down and chill out. Like, get your branding right, Feyre. Like if the High Lord's wife is like a warrior, like that doesn't bode great for, hey, peace, everybody. But then it turns out all that is kind of an illusion anyway, if a certain Rhys is to be believed. So
okay, I do want to talk about the rest of this interaction. I feel like we're spending a lot of time in this chapter, but it is one of the longer chapters here. So she brings up her family and Nesta specifically. And Ianthe, Ian, I'm just going to say Ian, brother, because I don't know how to say this name. She asks if Nesta and the family will be joining them for the wedding. And Feyre admits that she hasn't really thought to invite them. And Ian basically is like, well, I mean, surely you should invite them, and like me and Tamlin can ensure their safety. And I love that this interaction happens because Feyre says, well, Nesta hates your kind. And Ian corrects her and says, our kind. Like you're fucking, like you're one of us now. And it's a great showing of her just kind of trying to come to terms and grapple with like her identity.
She's still got that human heart.
Yeah, dude. She's still got that dog in her, man.
That's really. Yeah, that's a good call out. I did like any mention of Nesta, of course.
That's our girl.
Very interestingly, I don't know if I'm going backwards or forwards from where you're at, but she is very knows and is aware that she is not Tamlin's mate. She says that here specifically. There was no mating bond between us yet. Because there's this bit here where she says, like, nobody really knows what to call me. They just call her, like, lady. So that's interesting, too. She seems to view Ianthe as, like, a friend, but also is, like, definitely, like, a little low-key, like, jealous of her. Because she's just, like, super young and hot, Faye, and her and Tam get along really well. And, like, a lot of times Tam will agree with Ianthe and side with her when she's, like, doesn't want her to do things. So there's some jealousy going on there as well, I think, a little bit too, which is interesting.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. We get a tad bit of some kind of in the margins, like storytelling here. So first off, the first kind of part of the politics is about the world. We learned that apparently the High Lord, rule from their thrones, but the High Priestesses rule from the altar. So it does sound like they maybe don't hold the same position, but
they're still important.
in a way, can pull a lot of authority.
Yeah.
I feel like,
Yeah.
in both of their respects.
But there's actually 12 high priestesses, I think I saw, as opposed to 7 courts, which is interesting. Right. I wonder how that's like divvied up, you know?
Yeah. And then we kind of learn of a new area named Valahan.
Yeah, I had no idea there were like apparently a bunch of other fairy lands.
Yeah, apparently. And Ianthe's family took refuge there while Amarantha was ruling, basically, in charge.
Yeah, which is strange, but like I think this is Lucian telling her this. And
yes, well, I think she's recounting Lucian.
Maybe that's what it is, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, they lived in, it says her father had sensed trouble coming and packed off Ianthe, her mother, and 2 younger sisters to Valahan, one of the countless fairy territories across the ocean. So apparently there's, a bunch of them. For 50 years, they'd lived in the foreign court, biding their time while their people were butchered and enslaved. And we also learned that Ianthe has the hots for Lucian.
But
his ass...
I mean, who wouldn't?
Yeah, truly. But his ass is not interested because she fled. He does not forgive her
for leaving her people to die, basically,
during Amarantha's reign of terror. And I'm kind of like, that seems a little pity Lucian. It sounds like her father took her. Like, how much say did she really have? But then you also got to remember, like, that these are fairies. Like, I'm thinking of as like she was probably a young girl and her father took her. But like, no, that's not exactly how it works because they're hundreds of years old.
You're right.
So yeah, Lucian is not into it for this reason, which I found curious at first, but then it was like, okay, like, yeah, you kind of just left your people to be butchered, but could they really have done anything? I don't know. I feel like now in hindsight, knowing what we know from later chapters, I'm questioning Ianthe more and more than I was when I first read through this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely like, she's a little sus.
Yes, for sure. And then the last thing I have in this chapter is just the big sexy times.
Yeah, I have this.
The game has been raised when it comes to the sexy times.
Yeah. Okay, so I couldn't tell if the word
"let the boy watch."
That's what I'm thinking when I'm reading this chapter.
I mean, that's how I was. I was like, I want to see this go down.
Yeah, for sure.
So he's like taking his pants off, and then she says revealing. I think the word that she uses is revealing the proud and thick length of him.
Special 2 plums for 1.
Yes. And I'm like, oh, Tammy Boy's got that fucking girth. He's the thick wide, with 2 C's.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The wide was doing a lot of heavy lifting in that sentence.
Yeah. Man, that's good for him, buddy. He's already hot as shit. Buddy.
You know what I took from this section? Literally my only other note from here. Note. Is that now she's saying cauldron too? Like she's on the cauldron shit. Like
she's
slang.
Indoctrinated.
Yeah, dude. She's indoctrinated. She's like, oh, cauldron saved me from this dick.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
Yeah. She's like, cauldron saved me from the thickness, and I'm like, God damn it, Feyre.
From the pious thickness.
From the pious thickness, exactly.
Okay, so then I got more.
Oh, you got more? Okay, all right, hell.
He buried himself in me with a mighty stroke.
I can feel it down in my plums.
God fucking damn it, Scott.
You should have never told me to get a soundboard.
Dude, mighty stroke is a hell of a descriptor coming from a woman perspective.
Yeah, that's true.
God damn,
that's
dude.
Very true.
Okay, so anyway, so they fuck.
Oh yeah.
And then
do they ever?
they're laying down. He's, they're being all cute, naked. He's like touching her. And Tam decides, okay, yep, 3 minutes. I've had 3 minutes to cool down. I'm ready for round 2. And she's like, well, hold on. I want a lesson in politics. I want to know about politics. And I should mention that he finished in her. When they were having sex the first time. And he's like, kissing her and trying to go down and kiss and put his fingers in her. And she keeps like saying, well, hold on, what about this? What about that? Like trying to learn about everything. And then he just puts his face down there and starts going to town. And she's like, yeah, never mind. I'll deal with that later because I want this. And I'm here like, brother, didn't you just fucking bust in her? Like, and you're eating that shit out?
He's getting a little midnight snack, my guy.
Dude, maybe that's how he stays so fit, dude. It's all that protein. My guy.
Fucking shit. Yeah, no, definitely. Absolutely.
Do it.
That's what she's like, tell me about politics. And then he gets in between her legs and she's like, do it.
I fucking hate you.
This was your idea, bitch.
Yeah, but you said you weren't going to bust your load too quickly.
Yeah, well, as soon as I did it, I was like, oh, I kind of like it. I kind of like that. Oh, that's kind of fun, actually.
So, no, these are my plums.
That's what he's trying to get those plums, and he thinks they're inside her. If I did pull a Scott and mess up my production and none of these sounds are actually playing on the recording, this episode will be a real fucking mess. You and me just laughing for 20 minutes at silence.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So
okay.
I guess he just likes a little taste. And hey, that's cool. I'm not gonna yuck his yum. I'm not yucking anybody's yum here. It's just not yucking common.
People's yums. You're saying he should have gone down before, and then after dumped the load.
I'm just saying that me personally, I'm not gonna go down on a woman after I have finished in her, because then I'm gonna be eating. Because then,
are you sure about that?
Yes, I'm sure. Stop it. Don't fucking
okay, I won't.
Jack at the Gap.
Oh my god.
I had nothing else from chapter 2.
Okay. That's interesting. Hey, let us know in the comments down below.
Let us know in the comments if you would. No, shut the fuck up. Do not check that again. Oh my god.
You ever make the 8, Barristan?
Dude, hell yes.
Tell us.
Tamlin's made the 8.
Yeah, he has. Okay, chapter 3. We need to get this train moving. Farah and Lucian are going to go to the village. And she's pissed at him.
Scott, apparently Lucian was hunting a Naga.
Yeah, he got injured.
Okay, yeah, injured bad.
Yeah, he lied to her. I missed that in my notes. It seems like you did too. She's pissed at him for lying about the Naga, and he's like, well, technically, I did fall off my horse. Biatch, it tackled me off my horse. So,
biatch.
Yeah. So, and she says something to the effect of like, how typical Faye way to lie, and I'm like, remember when she thought that Faye couldn't lie? That was hilarious.
Yeah. Remember when we thought that possibly Faye couldn't lie?
I was gonna be so mad if that was the case, to be honest. He tells her he's only following Tam's orders, and she's like, yeah, well, you didn't exactly follow orders when you sent me to see the Suriel, did you, asshole? Mm-hmm. And he's like, listen, those were desperate ass times, desperate measures. Right now, we need order and stability. But she's not a fan of being all cooped up.
No, yeah. It becomes way more apparent here. Like, she is realizing that this is maybe not the life that suits her.
I mean, she was a huntress. She, like, spent time doing shit her entire life. Or at least, like, the second half of her life after they lost their fortune. And now Tam just wants her to, like, sit in the house and wear dresses and plan weddings and shit. And she's like, nah, that ain't me.
Naga, that ain't me, bro.
That's not even a joke.
It's a joke in my head.
Lucian says Tam is under immense pressure, that he's terrified for her. And also, hey, it's a difficult time because soon the fairies of the court will pay a tithe, and if they don't, Tam hunts them down. When I read this, I was like, that sounds a little bloodthirsty and fucked up. Oh, don't worry. It gets much worse when we actually see the tithing time.
Mm-hmm.
This is a quote I have from Lucian. You will forgive him if his family's own slaughter keeps him from being so liberal with your safety. He's lost those he cares for too many times. We all have. And Feyre responds with, I don't want to marry a High Lord. I just want to marry him, which is kind of what I was talking about earlier, where, you know, I was saying she does not seem to be into, like, the pomp and the, you know, like, bureaucracy of the whole thing.
Right.
But Lucian tells her one does not exist without the other. He is what he is. Whether you like it or not, talk to him, really talk to him, Feyre. You'll figure it out. So my boy Lucian providing solid advice. That's my dude. That's my goat right there.
Yeah, he's like, have you guys tried just, like, communicating?
Truly. And I'm not talking about, you know, when he's in between your legs.
When he's eating his cum out of your fucking no place. That's not the kind of talking.
True poet, Zach.
Yeah, man.
They get to the village, and all the fairies just, like, look at her with reverence and almost a little scared of her. They call her Feyre Curse Breaker.
Curse Breaker?
That's like, I definitely have used, like, a +2 broadsword in a game that's called Feyre Curse Breaker.
Dude, right.
No one accepts.
A good name.
It is a good name. No one accepts their help as much as they offer.
She starts to get a little skeptical. She's like, did fucking Tam tell you to bring me so that I could see that nobody wants my help and I can stop asking? And Lucian's like, nah, man, I brought you. I thought it would be a good idea. Like, you need to see that, like, it's not necessarily against you, but he brings up, I'm so glad that these little things are being addressed.
Yes,
like,
100%.
Not everybody that was captive was
under
just
the mountain,
chilling there under the mountain. Yeah. There are thousands of people from probably every court that were held in camps for 50 years. Some starved. They turned on each other. And it sounds like they're just trying to remember how to get back to normalcy.
Right.
Which is beautiful world building and just a very thoughtful thing for Sarah J. Maas to do, and I'm glad that it was there. I didn't know I was looking for it, but I'm glad it was there.
100%. Like, I also think this really puts some shit into perspective for Feyre too, because she went through some shit and, you know, has the PTSD to prove it. But, like, these people were, like, crammed into tunnels, he tells her, with no light and no air for 50 years. And like you said, they were, like, turning on each other, killing each other, stealing each other, doing terrible things to each other. Like, think about, like, what they're going through right now.
Yes.
He tells her right now they're trying to remember what it is to be normal, just how to live. And I was like, I like the way you said that, as, like, that's not something I would have thought about or was looking for, but I'm super glad it's here.
Yes. Yeah, it just really helps color in the world and the place that we're in, you know?
Yeah, and at the end of this chapter, the last thing I have is like, there's an element where Feyre seems to be questioning and almost dreading the fact that she's immortal now.
Yes.
Like with
which
this
also great character, like, what am I trying to say here?
Moment.
Not just like she's like grappling with it.
Oh,
like,
sure.
You
like
know,
self-awareness from her.
Yes.
Because
sure,
there's this
that's
big...
what I was gonna say.
Yeah, sure, that was it.
I'm good at talking. I have a podcast.
Yeah, you definitely are. Yes, there's a gulf. There's this gulf between her and Tam. It's just all lust between them right now. And she's like, is this what I want the next hundreds of years, of my life to be? So a lot of questioning going on.
It's a lot of pressure, man.
Yeah, no, for sure.
They never had a chance to like develop their relationship.
No, and I think that's a very telling thing to think about, is that like their entire relationship was built on a lie, like legitimately.
Yes. Yeah.
And
not only on a lie, but also the world that they were living in was completely different.
Yes. Also true. Yes. They come from completely different worlds, and yet they both just have such the raging boners for each other that it's just like, that's all they skipped everything else, of the relationship building. Not that there wasn't a few, playful and sweet moments between two of them, but they were few and far between comparatively.
They basically just went straight to midnight snacks, and it's like,
yes, they did.
Dang, dude, you ain't even gonna talk to me about that. You're not gonna tell me, hey, dude, I kind of like the taste of my own spud. You're not gonna just prep me for that?
No, these are my plums.
Dude, if I'm Feyre laying there, I'm like, hey, this feels good, but also, dude, you got your stuff in your mouth, pal. I'm dripping.
Let the boy watch.
Oh my God, stop it.
Chapter 4. Did you have anything else from chapter 3?
No, I didn't.
That's how I'm going to transition.
But we can keep talking about chapter 2 if we want.
Yeah, well, I think you are. You're going to say that. You seem to be doing a lot of rubbing with your off arm down there, is all I'm saying. We can keep talking about chapter 2. All right, chapter 4. This is another quote I have from Feyre. A few days before the wedding ceremony, guests began arriving, and I was grateful that I'd never be a high lady, never be Tamlin's equal in responsibility, in responsibility and power. A small, forgotten part of me roared and screamed at that. But she just brushes it aside. So, Feyre kind of raging against the patriarchy here. And, you know what? Good for her. Fuck Tamlin.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, then they're, his ass is pretending not to enjoy all the attention of the wedding guests. He's like pretending like it's exhausting, like how she's exhausted by it. But she says she catches him smiling a few times. And I'm like, I have in my notes, yet another hint that they may not be so perfect for each other. She wants peace, quiet, and simplicity. Not exactly what a High Lord's life is like. So Sarah J. Maas through these chapters, like, sticking in...
was fucking writing.
Well, yes, for sure that. She's, like, got a little pry bar, and she's just, like, every couple, paragraphs, every little bit, she just sticks it in and just kind of slowly widens the gap between...
Sounds hot, dude.
Fucking hell, dude. The gap between Feyre and Tam,
slowly.
So that when the wedding does arrive, shut the fuck up, Zach. The wedding does arrive, makes total sense that Feyre is there at the altar and is like, shit, actually, fuck, can I,
Jack it again.
She's like, fuck, man, can I marry a dude that ate his own spud?
Yeah. You kept talked about nothing else this fucking episode. Zach, what happens next? And it has nothing to do with him eating his own jism.
Jism. So she's walking around with Ianthe, and starting to realize that pretty much everybody is like, yo, Ianthe is fucking hot.
Yeah, big time.
Super into her. And these two fairies walk up. Brawn and Heart are their names.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll be important.
Right. And Braun says, he tells her that the trial against the, I think I have it spelled wrong, like Midgarden.
No, I may have it here. No, I don't. Yeah, something like that. It's the worm thing.
The worm.
The Dune worm. The, what are they called in Dune? Shai-Hulud, yeah.
Was amazing. Like, he kind of fangirls a little bit.
Yeah.
And she is kind of like, I don't want to be this, like, spectacle.
Yeah.
Like I always joke with Amanda. Amanda always, I mean, you know this, and I think most of our listeners who have listened for a while know this. Like, Amanda's very reserved, and like, she does not like to be the center of attention of anything.
Right.
And her joke is always like, do not perceive me.
Do not perceive.
I do not wish to be perceived. And I feel like Feyre's having a little bit of that right now.
Yes, for
like,
sure.
I don't want to be this fucking person that you're like in awe about.
Yeah.
Like, don't expect anything out of me.
I'm sure that guy like meant it well. Of
Yeah,
like,
of
oh,
course.
you were so cool in that trial,
Right.
and you trapped that thing, and it was so cool. But she's like taking it as, yo, dude, I was fighting for my life. Like,
right.
I'm not happy or proud about it. It's just like what I had to do to survive.
Which is also just such a great way to show like the positions that these people are in
Yes.
and how they are dealing with their situations.
Right.
You know, like she's still like trying to get past that,
Yes.
and he's like fucking living in it. Like, he's like, yeah, dude, you set me free, and that was cool as shit.
Yeah,
you know,
it's a huge difference of the way Feyre perceives herself and the way everyone around her is like perceiving her, but also meant to perceive her. Like, she's this like, she's this goddess almost, you know, like she's
like having a little imposter syndrome.
Yes,
I feel like
100%.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's interesting stuff.
So they mingle and interact for a little bit more, but then the meat of this is they ask her about the tattoo.
Yeah, they do. Finally, someone fucking asks about Rhys.
And they ask if she's heard from Recent, and she says she hasn't. They speculate that he's scared now that Tam has reached his final form.
Yeah.
And that he's running away scared, basically. And I kind of love this. I was like, great. Oh, she's like, well, you must not know Recent very well then.
Yeah. She says, you don't know Recent very well at all then. Which is fucking great.
And which it is very good. Because it's this character that is supposed to be this like inherent enemy who she has in some way bonded, maybe a slight imprinting. Yeah.
Team Edgar over here. Anyone?
Hell yeah, dude. And it immediately changes the mood between her and these two men that she's talking with, and Ianthe.
Yeah. Makes it very awkward.
Super awkward, and they're like, well, okay, can we like change the subject? Let's get past this. I just love that she, in a way, kind of came to his rescue, without maybe realizing that she was defending Recent. I think she was more defending his intent.
Yes.
But it was knee-jerk. It was just so honest for her to be like, okay, well then you don't fucking know what you're talking about.
This was like the end of the day. She's tired. She doesn't have her bullshit,
she's not
shields
on
up. Exactly. Like her smiling and prettiness and all that. I did find it interesting what Ianthe said here after they have this exchange. Ianthe says, the high priestesses are taking care of it. We will not allow our savior to be treated so ill. And in Feyre's mind, she's questioning, was that why Tamlin had initially sought out Ianthe to make an alliance? So that's an interesting angle here that I hadn't thought about.
Right.
Tamlin, and we get a little more information. I can't remember where it is, but that Ianthe doesn't necessarily get along with the rest of the high priestesses. But obviously they are powerful. So if Tam is just trying to get, at least one high priestess to his side, that's some interesting stuff.
And then some of my notes here are a little shorthand here. Feyre has some nightmares. She does keep thinking to herself, like, maybe if I can just get through this, everything will be better after the wedding. Like, I won't have to deal with all these people, and I can have some alone time. And also, she really hates her dress.
She hates her dress.
Dude, she hates her dress. And I kind of think that, like, Tamlin also... I think everybody is like, you don't look great in that dress, but like it's what's expected of you.
Yeah,
that's how
I think Ianthe is like the only person who thinks the dress is cool.
Yeah.
I had a quick note here because I think this is when Alice is like dressing her for the wedding. Alice is still the best. Love Alice.
Yeah, I do love Alice a lot.
It's just a short thing with her here, but I was like, Alice still rules. And yeah, then she has a full-blown panic attack, basically, as she's walking down the aisle. She's thinking... Okay, so I was a little confused about this. She specifically told Ianthe no red for the flowers because it reminds her of the blood of when she killed the Fae. But then when she's walking down the aisle, is she imagining to see she's red petals, flower petals,
interesting.
Or were there actually red flower petals? Is Ianthe sabotaging, I guess, is the root of my question. Or just in an Effie way, just absent-minded. You know what I'm saying?
Interesting. I completely... obviously, I have notes that she saw the flowers, but I forgot that she said no red.
That was like the only thing she's like cared about, because she was just like, I don't care, planet, whatever. But she specifically said no red. So either she's imagining it and she's just having a panic attack for a lot of reasons, or Ianthe is sabotaging, or the third option would be Ianthe is just Effie absent-minded nonsense brain. Which that one I don't think it's that.
No. I don't think she is.
I think she's very cunning.
Yeah. Interesting. That's a whole nother thing I hadn't...
There's a layers here, Zach.
No,
There's layers.
I appreciate... That's a great call out, Scott. I will think on this.
Good. Think on these things.
Yes.
You better.
So anyway, yeah, she correlates the red flower petals with the drops of blood, and she pictures the youth that she killed under the mountain. Little side note. Still extremely happy to see that this is something that she's still dealing with. And she gets to those final 3 steps. And Sarah J. Maas did a fantastic job building tension through these moments as she's walking down the aisle. The tension builds, and it's kind of going back and forth between Tamlin looking at her, people looking at her being aware of where she's at. Tamlin makes a short step to her, and she kind of like waves him off. And she starts thinking to herself, please, like, somebody help me, like, get me out of this situation. I can't do this, not right now. And then a lightning bolt strikes.
Yeah, it fucking does.
And Rhysand shows up and hits us with the hello, Feyre darling.
Wait, who shows up?
Rhysand?
And his name is John C.
No.
You can't see him.
No.
And his name is John C.
It's so loud. I didn't mean it to be that
loud. Oh my God.
Oh shit. Okay, let me back up a little bit here and first say that Sarah J. Maas's writing of this moment was fantastic. Like I was there, I was in it. It was so well depicted and described. Like I could see, maybe it's because there have been so many like leaving at the altars scenes in like movies and TVs. But it's just like I could see everything in my mind's eye playing out. You know what I'm saying?
Truly, yeah.
And then like it was just like I didn't see it coming, but when it happened, I was like, "Oh fucking course, this dude chooses this moment to show up." Like,
yeah.
Why?
Absolutely.
How did I not see this coming?
I was thinking that he would show up at the wedding like as a guest, and it was going to be super awkward.
Well, it is that. It definitely.
It definitely is still that. But this was just a million times better than what I could have imagined. I'm so glad that this interaction happens while she's still standing in the aisle. It's just, my first note of chapter 5 is that Rhys shows up and swings that big old D.
Oh my God, does he ever? Hold on. The very last moment of chapter 4 is just him straightening his black jacket, and he says, "Hello, Feyre, darling." And here he is, your purriest boy. He purred. He does purr a lot.
He does.
Wait,
let me hear a purr from you, Scott. Let's hear it. Let's see. What does a purr sound like? Oh no, that's like you're snoring.
That's what cats actually sound like when they're purring, though. That's not.
I wonder if the audio cleanse is gonna take
that Oh shit. So chapter 5, swinging that giant dick, Rhys is just like, yeah, I'm here to take her. I'll be taking her now. We had a deal.
Feyre makes note. She thinks that Rhys somehow knew that she was about to say no.
Yes. Which, of course, he did.
Right, sure. We know that now, right?
Tamlin continues. Man, when he is not in the bedroom with Feyre, swings a tiny dick.
Yes, dude.
Is he wrapping it in like salami when he's with Feyre or something? Like, dude, what is happening?
He's packing that shit somehow,
outside
bro.
of the bedroom, my dude is just impotent. And you're pushing rope right now, man. That's what he's doing when he's not in the bedroom.
So good.
So he's like, "Don't you dare take her, growl. I'm a growly boy." Very interesting though. Ianthe pieces right the fuck out. It says here, Ianthe had vanished entirely, along with most of those attendants, which fair enough.
But she's supposed to be powerful.
Yeah, but this cheeky bastard Rhys. Was I interrupting? I thought it was over. At least Feyre seemed to think so. So good. This guy has a PhD in pissing Tamlin off. Honestly, pissing off most people, because he pisses off Feyre a bunch too.
Straight the fuck up, dude. This guy is an expert.
Yes, just the most charming way though possible, for sure.
I look, dude. I really like Rhys.
Yeah,
Rhys is my fucking guy.
We were fucking big team Rhys at the end of the last book. I think he's only got up in these first 8 chapters.
Oh my God, dude.
The first 4 chapters of this book, I was like, okay, there's some good stuff happening here, but I can't say I'm like super into it yet.
Sure.
Chapters 5 through 8, I was like, oh, this the shit. This it right here. Yeah. Give this shit to me. Hell yeah.
Yes.
So yeah. Tam's pissed, but he's got that that tiny chode thing going on right now. He says, "Let us finish the ceremony, please." And Reese is like, "Hey, your high priestess seems to think it's over too. She's fucking out, bro." And Tamlin just immediately gives up, and it's just like, "Okay, you could take her, but if you hurt her..."
Dude, I was about to say, like, his like tiny dick complex needing to have that last, like,
yeah.
But if you hurt her, it's like, dude, fuck right off.
This I feel like is very telling. After Reese says, "I'll return her in a week," this is Feyre's inner monologue. No, Tamlin couldn't be making those kind of threats. Not when they meant he was letting me go. Because even Feyre is shocked that Tamlin is just letting this happen. And then she looks at Lucian. Even Lucian was gaping at Tamlin, his face white with fury and shock. So Feyre and Lucian are like, "Dude, the fuck are you on about, Tamlin? You serious right now?" So yeah, big losses for old Tampon over here.
Yeah, I think he's, especially when she gets back.
Oh my God, dude. Don't even, we'll get to that. Don't get me started yet on after she gets back.
Okay, all right. Okay, so Reese takes her.
Let's talk about how fucking sick the Night Court is.
Yeah, dude. Reese takes her, and they like teleport, basically. They disapparate.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Welcome to the Night Court."
Hell yeah. What a smooth ass motherfucker.
I know, right? And she immediately, her inner dialogue is, "It was the most beautiful place I'd ever seen."
She's like, "The Spring Court ain't got shit on mountains, baby. Mountains rule.
Mountains all the way, by the way.
I'm Team Night Court now. Well, I'm still primarily Team Dusk Court. They're my ride or die. But after Team Dusk Court, it's Team Night Court."
Is Dusk Court the one that you have a prediction on?
Yeah, Dusk Court is the one.
Because, so there's a Dawn Court, but there's not a Dusk Court.
Dusk Court is the one that doesn't exist, but totally actually exists.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, you're probably
I don't
right.
know.
Honestly.
That's just my crackpot theory. But no, the Night Court rules. Like this whole, every time she's like describing the architecture and the sky and the mountains, I'm just like, and how it's just like open but like warm, and I'm like, dude, this place fucks. Her bedroom, the like swimming, the infinity pool tub she's got. I'm like, this place sounds so cool.
If she had Instagram, dude, it'd be all over her stories.
Her stories
all over those IG
like,
stories, bro.
Chilling at the Night Court. Me and
just
Reese.
her feet sticking out like over the mountain, over the edge. Hey, I'm over the edge.
Snowy outside, but still warm in here.
Okay, so Reeson gets cheeky.
Yeah.
And
when is he not?
Well, right. You're welcome, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
For what? For saving you when you asked. I didn't ask. I heard you begging anyone to save you.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I'm just like, Reeson, can you come take me and save me? Can you sweep me off of my feet? Because I love you. I love him. He's so good.
He is good. He's very
fucking great. And then there's a little bit more back and forth, and she tells him, "You don't know anything about us." And he basically responds with like, "Okay, does Tamlin?
Yeah.
Does he know anything about you? Does he know that you throw up overnight, that you can't see certain colors?" And she's like, get the fuck out of my head.
Yeah. He also tells her, maybe Tamlin didn't notice that you were about to reject him in front of his entire court. Maybe you can now simply blame it on me. He's even like giving her an out. He's like, listen, I know what you were about to do and what it would have done and what it would have meant. I super double ultra saved you, so you're welcome.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great.
It's also interesting to know, we find out here that their bond goes both ways, because he tells her that he is constantly being awakened by her throwing up at night. That's good. It's interesting stuff.
It is good. I I have to admit, you know what? I'll save that thought for wrap up. So he leaves her be.
Yeah.
He like shows her to her room and is like,
"Hey, go to your room, rest. We'll talk tomorrow."
Right. I don't have a note of it, but I'm remembering. I think it's here that he's like, nobody's here to hurt you. Like it's, like I'm not gonna come in your room.
Right.
Like, just get comfortable.
Interesting
whatever.
thing. I just realized I took a very specific quote of here. He tells her, "For now, clean yourself up, rest." That rage flickered in his eyes again at the dress, the hair. So, he's literally made angry by how she's like dressed and dolled up. Like, I feel like that's very telling, especially with things he says and information we get later.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll circle back around to that.
Also, is it now that I can't remember if this is over breakfast, but she asks like where the night court is?
Yes, no, this is now.
Okay, yeah. So she's like, "Where is everybody?"
Right,
basically.
Right.
And he confirms like the night court is beneath this mountain.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like to mix my home life and my work life. Basically,
totally.
Is what he's saying.
Love that from him. He says his court mostly runs itself. He does it from time to time, but
which is a sign of a good leader, by the way.
True, actually.
It is a sign of a good leader. So good for him.
And then she launches one of her shoes at his head at light speed.
At fucking light speed.
It clonks him right in the head. And she goes back for round 2, by the way. Like, she hits him and he turns around and
she's
like,
no stranger to round 2, though.
Oh my god. She clonks him in the head with the shoe. He like disintegrates her shoe and is like, "What the fuck?" And she has the audacity to throw her other one at him. This time he catches it and is like, "Go the fuck to bed."
Yeah.
But very interestingly, she hears a female voice. We find out who this is very quickly. But she hears a female voice as she's leaving. So that went well. And I'm like, oh, who is this now?
I have a feeling I'm going to like her.
Zachary, I already have chosen a new favorite character for this book. And it's not Reese. It might be someone we're about to meet very soon.
Interesting. Okay. Okay, so she is left to do her own thing in her room.
In her awesome room.
We find out that her room is sick as fuck.
Yes.
She's got a pole that hangs off the cliff.
She's super pissed because she knows that everything Reese is saying is true. He did save her.
Yep. She realizes that she was, in fact, going to say no.
Yeah.
How the fuck did Reese know this? Then I believe she goes to bed, and then she's woken up by somebody telling her, like, hey, breakfast, like, Reese wants you, or, like,
well, it's it's their bond. She, like, feels him pulling, basically. Kind of like
no. Somebody does he
the
talk
handmaidens
to her
come
the
in. He's not really talking to her. The handmaidens definitely come in to help her, but she's, like, being pulled by the bond, kind of like how she was during, like, the trials and everything.
Right. So she is tugged to go to breakfast, and she learns that this thing is called the Bargain's Bond, or maybe that's just what they've kind of coined it. It is a bridge between them.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially, when she is feeling exceptionally high, I guess, big emotions, her, quote, shield drops, and her feelings and thoughts are sent through the bond. They chat a little bit more. If you want to touch on any of the small stuff, that's fine. But basically what happens is she presses Reese about what he actually wants from her. And he says that he wants to start with teaching her how to read. Yeah.
And that's how the chapter ends for this week.
And that is how the chapter
just want you to learn how to
ends. Yeah.
One quick thing I wanted to touch on when she was about to go to bed, and she's thinking about things. she's undressing. She's like, this fucking dress is absurd. And she thinks to herself that she wants to wait until Tam and her actually have a mating bond, or they can at least face their like inner darkness, their inner demons first before. She's already like fully given up on getting married, like right now, at least. She's not giving up on Tam, but she's like, we have to wait mode already, which I think is telling.
And I mean, kudos to her, by the way, because she, I mean, like, not kudos to her for not attempting to like work through this stuff earlier. Right. However, kudos to her for acknowledging what the issue is.
Yes.
100%. We have stuff that we need to work through. And now that she's come to that, she seems pretty resolute in the fact that like this needs to be addressed first.
Yeah.
And I like that from her. I think that that's a very Feyre reaction, or very Feyre like insight. Like she's very problem solver.
Yes.
And I think it's showing here.
She very rarely, she did it like, I feel like maybe once or twice briefly in the first book, but she very rarely wallows in self-pity and like, you know, woe was me. She's, like you said, a problem solver is a good way to do it. She like, you know, faces her problems head on and is, you know, more solution oriented, which I appreciate. So chapter 6, the first note I have here is where he's just like, hey, has anyone ever told you that you're rather strong for a high fae? I think she crumples up her fork because he's pissing her off or something like that. And she's like, what now? He's like, have you tested yourself against anyone?
He's wondering if when the 7 of the High Lords like basically granted her life again, if they maybe unknowingly transferred a little more to her.
Yes.
So basically he's wondering if she has a Horcrux inside her. If she's the 8th unknown Horcrux.
Yeah.
You didn't like that reference. Fuck you.
Listen, it's, you know, it's the very obvious you and
You're
us.
Harry Potter #1 fan.
You and us
You're
reference.
Supposed to like this.
Yeah, that's true. I'm trying to parse what this note means. I'm sorry. What I wrote here is not making sense to me. Oh, he wants her to learn to read and shield her mind. And she's like, I'm not going to do that. And he's like, why? From spite? I thought you and I got past that under the mountain. And I like that she's not, despite how they parted, like on good terms, she's not giving him like a free pass. She says, don't get me started on what you did to me under the mountain.
Yeah.
So again, we talked about this a lot. I feel like at the end of last book and in the discussion with Emily is like, how much should we take like the him getting her drunk and high on fairy wine or whatever and dancing with her, and the explanation that was him trying to protect her, like how much can we like, you know, let that slide?
Right.
And it's obvious part of her here, Feyre has not let it entirely slide. Now, maybe that's her, you know, making an excuse because she wants to, you know, not just give in to Rhys so easily.
Sure.
But I did find that interesting.
But also if she still does hold that against him, that's also super valid. That she's
bringing that back up, I think is an important note. To your point about the parts, the Horcrux analogy you use, the parts of the High Lords that might be in her. Are you taking this as what he saw at the end of the last book that made him like be startled? Or is there still more to that?
I mean, personally, I think that him getting startled at the end of the last book is he realized that she is his mate.
Sure. Okay. So you're still holding to that.
That's what I think still. Yes.
Okay. I just didn't know if this would change your mind at all. If you thought it was maybe he saw the power in her.
Nah, that's lame.
Okay, all right. I'm just checking.
I see the power in you.
Yeah, truly. So this is where I wrote down
7 powers combined. Captain Planet.
I don't have any good Captain Planet sounds. Half a paragraph in, and Morrigan is my new favorite character. We barely get any of her, but I love her.
Morrigan's such a good name too, by the way.
So that's what I was gonna say. I am predisposed to love her because my favorite character in the Dragon Age series is named Morrigan.
Oh, that's a great name.
She fucking rules. So I already was like, oh, badass name alert. And then she's very just like fun and charming and is constantly just like giving Rhys shit. And I'm like,
she's like the girl version of Lucian right now.
And you know I fucking love Lucian. She is exactly that. You're 100% spot on there. She's fucking great.
Except I think she pushes that boundary a little bit more because she's not like in service.
No, it doesn't seem that way. We find out later they're cousins.
Right.
But she seems like she's way more on equal footing with Rhys. Obviously, I'm sure she's not because he's a high lord and
right, but like she's comfortable.
Yes,
she's comfortable with him in that sense, I guess. But
so this is what my new favorite character says when she comes in. She says, "You look like you were getting under Rhys's skin. Good thing I came along, though I'd enjoy seeing Rhys's balls nailed to the wall." She fucking rules so much already. Feyre responds, "It's nice to meet you." And Morrigan is immediately just like, liar. You want nothing to do with us, do you?
Right.
And wicked Rhys is making you sit here. She fucking rules. Rhys tells her that she is his only remaining relative. I think he mentioned last book that Amarantha like slaughtered his entire family. Am I remembering correctly?
Right. Yeah.
So Morrigan here is the last one. Mor believes she's entitled to breeze in and out of my life as she sees fit. And then very interestingly here, Feyre asks, "I didn't see you under the mountain." And Morrigan says, "Oh, I wasn't there. I was in," but Rhys cuts her off. And so I wonder what the fuck she was up to that Rhys. So for the rest of their time together, Rhys is like very open and honest with Feyre, like to a crazy degree. So this is especially interesting to me now that we got through chapter 8 of like, well, what is it that he still doesn't want her to know? Because he was like very open and honest with her.
Well, I think that knowing what we know from chapter 7 and 8, there's still some things that he probably doesn't want Tamlin to know.
That's fair enough. That's a good point. Because the blank maps and all that about his territory and stuff like that. That's a good point.
Right. Yes.
Anyway.
So they go to their lesson.
Yes. Well, first, and I loved this because we circle back around to this later. Rhys tells her Morrigan will be here for the rest of the week, but by all means do not feel that you have to oblige her with your presence. And Mor offers like, hey, if you need some company, just call for me. I'm here for you.
Yeah, and Feyre's like, I feel like she means literally, like just actually call out. And she'll just show up, which is great.
It is.
I love that.
It's great. I love her so much already. And then their lesson.
Yeah, so they go to this lesson.
This is let me see if I can impress you and our Harry Potter fans. This is Harry and Snape learning Legolas Mancy all over again, right? Did I get it?
You and your dumbass names.
It?
Yes. I mean, yes, it is.
Well,
so Legilimens is a spell to infiltrate somebody's mind. Okay. Occlumency is when you protect your mind.
See, I just combined them, kind of. So wait, which was Snape teaching Harry then?
Occlumency.
Okay. Yeah, I nailed it. First try.
Yeah.
Jacket again.
Or Maybe it's reversed. I don't know. I guess
Oh,
I guess I
look
could
who's
be
a
wrong.
fake fan now.
If I recall correctly.
You don't recall correctly.
Dude, that clip fucking sends
It's
me,
very
bro,
good.
every time. If I recall correctly.
If I recall correctly.
It's so good. It's so funny. All right.
Okay. So I do find it kind of funny that is like, all right, you're gonna learn how to read. Here, read this fucking paper. Like that's how the lesson starts.
Well, I think doesn't he first try and give her an alphabet, and she's like, "I know my alphabet, you bitch," and he's like, "Okay."
I mean,
okay.
yes, yeah. So she feels like all eyes are on her, even though it's just them.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's like a little embarrassed, doesn't know what to do with it. Finally, she just relents and is like, "Okay, fine."
Yeah.
So she tries reading it. She's trying to sound it out. And he gave her a note that says, "You look absolutely delicious today, Feyre."
Yeah.
Which I think is hilarious. That's my fucking guy.
My dude is shooting his shot.
That
for
is my
sure.
fucking guy. Let's go.
Let's fucking go.
He also tells her that the fashion of the night court befits you.
Yeah, it does.
I gotta be honest, just like the description we got of what she was wearing, I was like, I like this.
I'm into the sound of it for sure.
I like this.
Yeah.
I
I hope that's what's Morrigan wearing, because I think I'm in love with her.
Okay.
I mean, Feyre said she was the most beautiful woman she'd ever seen, so.
I mean, yeah. So,
and she's
yeah,
funny and cool, and her name is
she's related
Morrigan.
to recent.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. So they get through their little like reading lesson, and then it transitions to like he wants to teach her how to shield her mind.
Right.
And this is where things get truly interesting.
And
I
also
really
like
enjoy
the
this.
why behind he is doing this.
Yes. He does kind of flex, and he's like basically expressing to her like how like truly simple and easy it would be for him to kill her with the type of powers that he has.
Right.
And I mean, he is flexing, but also he's more talking about like just like this like mental magic in general.
Yeah. He's
is really
teaching. He's
dangerous.
flexing and teaching.
Yes. And he says that she's very lucky that she hasn't come across anybody else that has these types of powers. There's probably a lot in in between the lines here. If you want to take over, that's fine.
Real quick, one thing I had to call out, because I had to go back and find this, because I was like, wait, did I read that right? I think this is where she has asked him why he's doing this. And he tells her, maybe I resent the idea of you letting those sycophants and warmongering fools in the spring court make you feel inadequate.
Oh, yes.
Maybe I indeed enjoy seeing you squirm, or maybe, and he kind of trails off. But it's like, I had to go back and it's like, did he say the warmongering fools in the spring court? Because that is like counter to like everything else we're getting. So that is an extremely interesting line there.
I mean, he could be talking about Tamlin's dad.
Tamlin's dad's dead, right?
Well, right, but like their reputation.
Maybe.
Like the legacy of Tamlin's family is like that they are warmongering.
Okay, that's, maybe you're right. Maybe I'm reading too much into this. Because
I mean, no, that's a great observation though, because like they might be wrapped up in some shit.
Well, it's
that
like
we don't know.
The weirdest part about this is that like what we learn later, and I'm jumping ahead, but like Tamlin is like war denying over here,
right?
Whereas Rhys is like, war is inevitable, and Tamlin is like, no wars here. Also, all's hunky dory. So maybe you're right. Or there's just much deeper meaning to this.
Right. Either way, interesting line.
Yeah.
He tells Feyre, I'm not your enemy.
Yeah.
And she responds with, well, everyone says that you are. Which I think is just like, I like that she confronts him with this, but I also, what I really like is that she confronts him with this in a way that gives him the opportunity to like talk through it.
Yeah. Because right before this, she tells him, I think we can agree, and she's talking about everything that happened out on the mountain. She says, I think we can agree that I owe you nothing and you owe me nothing. Isn't it enough that we're all free? By the end, I thought you were different, that it was all a mask, but take me away, keeping me here. And then that's when he tells her, I'm not your enemy.
Right.
Which is very good, because then he hits her back with, well, what do you think? When she's like, everyone says you are. And he's like, I don't care what they say. What do you think?
Right.
Then he starts purring again, I know here. But he asks her, did you even tell your friends about what I did to you under the mountain? Which is, I mean, she hasn't told anyone anything. So the answer to that is no.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of just like, it's just not much honesty going on between Feyre and the people around her, you know?
Yeah. But I don't think that's like, I feel like that's acceptable for Feyre to keep that stuff close to her chest.
With like the stuff with Rhys, for sure.
Well, but like most things,
Yeah.
because she's not in an environment where she feels comfortable talking about that stuff.
That's true. Well, that's
like
fucking Tam's fault.
Right. It is Tam's fault. Everything's Tam's fault.
Literally
everything is fucking Tam's fault.
And Iantha. This is where we find out that Rhys does not like Iantha.
Really doesn't like Iantha.
One bit. And this is where the thing I wanted to circle back around to. He says something to the effect of, because he's talking about how shit her dress was again. He says he compares her to being done up like a present, like a reward for Tamlin. And I'm like, ooh, that hits kind of hard.
Yeah.
Because like earlier when she noticed the rage in his eyes when he looked at her dress, and now when he's talking about it here, it's like, yeah, they are, at least Rhys thinks that they are viewing her as just like an object, you know?
Yes.
Like, he calls her a present, a reward, and that's just like, oof, that hits. I think that cuts a little close to home for Feyre.
Good guy Rhys.
Yeah.
Good guy Rhys, man. Come on.
He is the
He's like, hey,
boy.
I would never treat you like an object unless you wanted me to.
Yeah, exactly.
No, these are my plums.
That's what he's thinking.
Yes. So I love that she's like so pissed off about a million things all at once, but she still makes a comment about his muscled back. Did you catch that?
Yes, of course.
She's like, I noticed his muscled back. He suggests that her human family would be in big trouble if the wall came. So, by the way, so this is them. They're talking about the inevitable war, basically. Right. He suggests that her family on the other side of the wall would be in very, very, very big trouble if the wall ever fell. Hopefully, they would flee across the ocean before that happened. He essentially is like, listen, dude, like, Amarantha was just a blip, basically. Yeah. She was an experiment.
He calls her an experiment, by the King of Hybern, basically.
The King of Hybern still wants to see humanity destroyed.
Yeah.
And basically the only thing that's... Actually, I'm sorry, I think I might be getting into some of the
chapter 7, but that's fine. That was
the conversation just flows. Yeah. So, anything else about chapter 6 before we continue talking about?
No, I just thought it was funny that she's calling him a prick in her head, and then he tells her, at least have the decency to only call me a prick when your shields are back up.
Right.
Which is funny, but yeah, nothing important. Go ahead.
Okay, so when he says that war is coming, she pleads to him.
Yes.
Please don't invade the mortal lands.
And he's like, dude,
you truly think I'm a monster, don't you?
Yeah.
He goes on to explain what I was mentioning. The King of Hybern still wants to take out all the humans, and the Fey realm is basically the only thing that stands between them. The king would try to destroy Prythian, except that would take too long.
Yeah.
Brute force would be too much of a campaign, basically.
Yeah.
So he will do it through spies, through stealth, and from the inside out, basically.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Reeson wants to know if Oh, I love this. Like, despite their differences, he's like, hey, I really want you to try talking
to Tamlin. He wants her to be the go-between. He's like,
yes.
Obviously he hates me and he's not going to listen to my ass. Maybe I shouldn't piss him off so much. No, he doesn't have have that much self-reflection. That should be what he's thinking. But yeah, he wants her to be the go-between, basically.
Right. He wants to know if Tamlin will fight with Prythian. And he also makes mention, he brings this up, we've had this mentioned several times in the past, Tamlin has ties to Hybern.
Yeah.
And she immediately gets defensive, and she's like,
"Oh, he would never help the king."
He would never.
Yeah.
And Reeson is like, no. Like, I want to know if he can use those ties to Hybern for our advantage.
Right.
There's a little bit more conversation, and then she mentions something about there's no high ladies.
Mm-hmm.
That's my next note. Did you want to talk about?
Just real quickly, I thought it was interesting. He tells her that he did indeed fight in the previous war, and he has no desire to see like full scale slaughter like that ever again.
Right. Good guy, recent.
Also, the second thing he wants from her, I find very interesting. In addition to her being the go-between, he says he needs her help to track down something he needs. And she's like, well, how the fuck would I help you with that? He's like, I heard you caught a Suriel. She's like, so? And he's like,
easy.
He tells her he failed to capture a Suriel twice. And he says, also, she trapped the worm like super easily. So Rhys has been very impressed with her like hunting, trapping skills. So I'm very curious. He doesn't tell her, but I'm very curious to know like what exactly he's trying to track down and how she's going to help him with that.
Is this where they like talk about like her potential and powers or something like that?
Yes. They're talking about the trust in each other. And yeah, he brings up her powers.
Okay. I took maybe a little less notes in that section. The next big note I have is where he's giving her the lecture about being a pawn.
Oh, okay. I can talk. I have some own notes here about her powers more specifically.
Okay.
He says, the strength, the speed, if I didn't know better, I'd say you and Tamlin were doing a very good job of pretending you're normal. The powers you're displaying aren't usually the first indications among our kind that a High Lord's son might become his heir. So last book, we got the info that it's not the eldest that inherits a High Lord's seat. It's whoever's the most powerful. So that's what he's describing here, is that like she is like displaying heir-like High Lord powers, abilities, basically.
And that's when she hits him with, well, but there are no high ladies.
Right. He tells her, you were given life by all 7 of us. Your very essence is tied to us. This is why you're saying the Horcrux shit. Born of us. What if we gave you more than we expected? Which, him saying it, phrasing it like that, like phrasing it like, oh, we didn't actually mean to give you that much, it just kind of happened. That, again, makes me think back to my theory about how I still think she's some kind of, like, ancient reincarnation, super special person. Due to her name, I think the first thing was like, hey, her Feyre sounds like Faye. And the fact that Amarantha said she had an old name, I still think this could have something to do with that.
I think that, like, she could maybe transcend to something like that throughout the books. I don't know that is like. I mean, I don't know.
Maybe it's not, but that's my theory, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay.
I think she is some kind of like.
We love a good theory.
Ancient being reincarnated in some way. Ancient, hero or,
She's Link.
Sure.
Yes.
Or Zelda.
Yeah, I mean, Zelda is a hero.
Hey,
also.
Did you
You're
hear
right.
about the new, just sidebar here real quick, the new Zelda game where you actually play as Zelda for once?
No.
I just announced it like a couple days ago. Yeah.
Oh.
It's called The Legend of Link. No, I'm just kidding. It's not. It's still The Legend of
Fuck
Zelda.
off. Okay.
No, it's still Legend of Zelda, but yeah, the gimmick is your main character is Zelda this time. And I'm like, oh, that's
Love
cool.
that.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll have to talk more about that later. So he basically tells her like, well, no, there are high ladies.
Yeah.
There have been high ladies, and
he has a very interesting reaction.
Yes.
When she straight up tells him there are no high ladies, it says his brows furrowed, but he shook his head. We'll talk about that later too. But yes, Feyre, there can be high ladies. So this reaction makes me think, oh, Tamlin just straight up lied to you. And I realize that, and we're gonna talk about that later.
Yes, dude. So I picked up on that. I feel like Tamlin is low-key afraid that she is going to become the new High Lord.
Yes.
Or High Lady.
Yeah.
100%. Of the Spring Court.
And Rhys is like, this fucker. This gaslighting fucker. You know what? You were spot on. You were ahead of the curve, I feel like, on the Tamlin hate. You really were. Props to you, buddy.
Thanks. Yeah, I just got some weird vibes from him, man.
You were so cute. Thanks. Yeah.
Wait, all anime?
Oh, gosh. But yes, he's like, there can be high ladies, and perhaps you aren't one of them, but what if you were something similar?
That could be another nod to what your
That's what
theory.
I'm saying. What if you were able to wield the power of 7 High Lords at once? What if you could blend into darkness or shapeshift or freeze over an entire room, an entire army? There's so much more to this. I'm telling you, she is some kind of reincarnated
all 7 Dragon Balls have been
super
combined.
100%.
She is Captain Planet, dude.
Yes. Heart. She just needs to harness the power of heart.
Interesting, dude.
That's my favorite.
That's a good theory, Scott. I really like that.
I mean, I've talked about it before.
Well, yes, but also like with the context of what he's saying now.
Yeah.
Because I guess I hadn't really... Oh, man, this might be a dumb realization.
Oh, no.
I don't know if I'm like super... I mean, we haven't voiced this.
Okay.
Maybe it's just been assumed. But do all... Like... Do the High Lords of their respected court have specific powers to that court? Like, Spring Court is strength.
Right.
Like, Night Court is, like, this, like, ability to, like, whatever the fuck he does, like, with the shadows.
The way he talks
would make
here,
sense.
It kind of seems like it, yeah.
Interesting. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but maybe not. I guess we don't have concrete confirmation.
So her developing superhuman strength is a product of...
Oh, true. And also we see later something else she can do.
Right.
And maybe a third thing that she can do because she burns her handprints into the wood, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, this is good.
She is
Scott,
just...
I love this.
You're fucking spot on. She's just
Captain Planet.
Fucking
Yeah, man.
God damn it. I hate it when you're making a dumbass joke, but then you're actually right. I fucking hate
Does this happen
you.
often?
No, probably not.
Okay, so she... Yes, check it again. Okay, so she kind of pushes back.
Yes.
She's like, I'm just Harry. I'm not a wizard.
God.
And
well, there's a specific way she pushes back, though, that I think is key.
Okay.
She specifically says Tamlin won't allow it. Boy, does Rhys kind of bristle at that. He says, Tamlin isn't your keeper, and you know it. I'm his subject, and he is my high lord. And he just cuts her off. You are no one's subject. I will say this once and only once. He's purring again, by the way. You can be a pawn, be someone's reward, and spend the rest of your mortal life bowing and scraping and pretending that you're less than him, than Aanthe. I think I've said her name differently every time. Than any of us. If you pick that road, then fine, a shame, but it's your choice. And I'm like, fucking spit your shit, Rhys. God damn.
Yes.
But I know
Bars.
But I know you more than you realize, I think. And I don't believe for one damn minute that you're remotely fine with being a pretty trophy for someone. Oh, I love this part because I fucking said the same exact thing about this bitch. Being a pretty trophy for someone who sat on his ass for nearly 50 years, then sat on his ass while you were shredded apart.
Yes, dude. Yes.
And his name is John C.
Oh my god.
Fucking Rhys,
so loud.
dude. Fucking Rhys. This to me was my favorite section of the whole part that we read.
Yes.
Where he just is like, as soon as she says Tamlin won't allow it, and he fucking just goes right the fuck off. Like that triggered him harder than like anything she could have possibly said. It's so good. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Part of his argument about not being a pawn, he says war is coming one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
And he also makes comment about none of the Fae are going to do shit about taking care of your family if that wall comes down.
True.
Like, you need to be ready.
Yeah.
You need to step up to this. Do you want to save the realm? Then become someone that Prithian listens to. Become vital. I love that.
That is
become
good.
Vital.
He does follow that up with become a weapon, which is maybe a little less great, but
yeah, I love that out. I love that out.
Become vital is still great.
Yes. And then he receives a message.
Yeah.
Is it his cousin? Is it Morrigan that comes? I didn't catch. Or is it
yes,
like somebody else?
Yes, it's them talking. Yeah.
She says there was another attack. Same tracks as last time. Small group, bodies that showed signs of a large sword, no survivors. So I just very short cliff notes on what she's talking about there. And he tries to push that stuff kind of like quickly, I feel like.
Yeah, a little bit.
What notes do you have on that?
Just kind of a little bit like she wants to know who these Illyrian war bands are. And he tells her they're a warrior race, general pains in my ass. Some of them supported Amarantha. Some, but me and mine have enjoyed ourselves hunting them down these past few months and ending them. That's kind of all the notes I had for this.
Okay.
It's just like, yeah, they killed a bunch of priestesses, I guess. At this temple and kind of ransacked it, and yeah, he's super pissed about it, basically.
Right. We also learned that apparating and disapparating in this world is called winnowing.
Mm-hmm. I knew you'd be fascinated by this.
Do they have diswinnowing? Is that when you leave?
They fucking better not. They fucking better not.
Okay, so things they're basically done. Oh, by the way, we haven't really said, we've been so wrapped up in their actual conversation. She does start to get the hang of shielding.
Oh yeah, true.
Shielding her mind.
Right.
And her stay comes to an end. Is there anything you want to talk about before she gets back to the Supreme Court?
One last thing that he told her. I think my notes might be a little out of order here. I don't know when he told her this. I think this might have been in the previous conversation when he's telling her to like become, someone Prithian listens to.
Mm-hmm.
He says, ask Tamlin if it'll make you sleep better. See what charming Ianthe has to say about it, but it's your choice to make, no one else's.
Yes.
And I think that's powerful as well.
It is. It is because everybody needs to be like empowered. Like I feel like that's something that like every character should have.
Mm-hmm.
Like they should make their own decisions, but it's especially good for her and the position that she's in with Tamlin to get that contrast of like he obviously wants her to do a specific thing.
Yes. But he also wants it to be her choice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah,
and I know that's a trope. Like that happens a lot in fantasy, but I think it's done really well here.
I do too.
Reason is my fucking guy. That's my goat.
When he's about to take her back, he asks her if she's ready to face what happened at the wedding, like her about to say no. And Feyre's like, oh shit, I kind of had not been thinking about that. And I don't know, she tells him to fuck off or something like that. And he goes, right, you'll probably ignore it anyway. Sweep it under the rug like everything else. And I'm like, oh, my dude is spitting. Like that, she is.
He just knows.
Yeah, man. I mean, yeah, I'm sure a lot of that has to do with their bond, but and then I have to call this out because it's a mention of my girl Morrigan. He says, "I'll tell Mor you said goodbye." Farrah's like, "I barely saw her all week. What the fuck are you talking about?" And he was just like, "Yeah, she was waiting for an invitation. She didn't want to pester you. She said she would come when you needed." And she's like,
I love that.
Yeah, I love that.
I think that's just so wholesome of her character.
I think that's fantastic. And Feyre's like, well, no one told me and I didn't particularly care. No doubt she had better things to do anyway. And Rhys, still being his cheeky asshole self, he just says, you didn't ask. And why bother? Better to be miserable and alone. And I'm just like, oh, fucking Rhys, you are really making me like you too much.
Dude, he's so good.
He's so good.
He is so good. I love him.
And then, last thing I have as they're leaving, he asks her if she's going to accept his offer. And she tells him that she'll let him know next month. He reasserts that he's not her enemy. And she's like, well, you are because you're Tam's enemy. And she's like,
Tam's enema.
Well, if you're not my enemy, yeah, truly. She tells him, hey, free me from our bargain. And he's like, I can't do that. And she hits him with the can't or won't, which I always love when someone hits him with that. So yeah, good stuff between the two of them. I loved every moment those two are together, honestly.
Yes.
Like this last couple chapters, chapter and a half, whatever it was my favorite stuff for sure of this section.
Absolutely. And then it all goes to shit here in a minute.
And then it goes straight to the shitter. Fuck.
So they diswinnow to go
I
to
fucking hate you so much.
Spring Court.
Don't ever say that again.
Tam is immediately freaking out, inspecting her.
Yeah.
Making sure that she's okay, which, okay, I can get that.
He's inspecting his property, Zach.
Uh-huh. He's like, did anybody touch my shiny object? Tam and Lucian then begin to press Feyre immediately.
Yeah.
In fact, one of them even says verbatim, quick while it's still fresh in your mind.
I think that's Tam. Because Lucian seems uncomfortable about this whole thing.
Yes.
Lucian is like, I don't want to be here doing this right now.
Mm-hmm. starts to press her about details on the night court.
Because she wants sexy times. She's like, hey, let's go.
She's like, I've spent a week watching this hot-ass man that I can't have sex with. I need to have sex with you.
Yes, right the fuck now. And he's like, no. That can wait. It's time for spying time. She's like,
it's time for
it's
spying.
time for spying time. That's what he says verbatim. It's time for spying time. Yeah, it's like already just so many fucking alarm bells and red flags going off. And it's like, it only gets worse from here.
Oh my God, dude.
Like,
it's so bad.
So much worse.
Yeah, so he wants to know everything.
Yeah.
Where you know, pointed out on a map, where is his court? What weapons does he have? Like, what are his people like? What do they do? What does he do with his time? Like, everything. He wants to know everything.
Yeah.
And she does push back.
Yeah.
But eventually she does relent.
She asks him specifically, why do you want to know what are you going to do? Well, he's like, well, knowing my enemy's plans is vital. And as for what we're going to do, that's neither here nor there. And I'm like, this fucking guy. This fucking guy. Sorry, continue.
No, you're good. My next note is just, she tells him basically everything.
Yeah. But she doesn't feel great about it.
We also, Scott, I think I forgot to mention, we get two name drops of new characters that we haven't met.
Oh.
Cassian and Azrael.
Yeah. I forgot about that too.
And their names were dropped, I think, in the conversation after
with Morrigan.
Reese was told about the attack, right?
Yeah, it was during the conversation between Morrigan and Reese.
Okay. So, those are standout names, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure. They'll be important.
So
later. I don't know what they're up to now,
important.
But they're going to be important later.
Yeah, so Cassian and Azrael. And so she mentions those names, and my notes are not super complete.
I feel like, or something.
That's what I was going to say. Okay.
Yeah.
They know these names. Yeah.
Azrael is like a very common demon name, I feel like, in fantasy and fiction. So I don't know.
Cassian is.
I don't know what that's about. Yeah.
Cassette tapes.
Yep, nailed it. Oh, Cassian Andor.
Wait, what's Casio?
Cassian
what's Casio?
Andor.
That's a brand.
Was like an electronics brand. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's one with the lightning.
Lightning.
Yeah, electricity.
Yes, exactly.
He is Nikola Tesla.
Oh my God.
He's David Bowie. Yeah, my next note here. He's Pikachu.
Fucking hell.
My next note here is that Tam is being a real cunt fuck.
God, is he ever?
He will not, quote, allow her to do anything.
Yeah. Because this is where she tells them about how Reese's theory about her powers, basically.
Yeah. So, by the way, my note here on the close of this chapter is really just a short summary. If you have quotes that you want to call out, then do that.
Well, yeah. Well, give me your summary, and then I'll see if there's any.
So
quotes
my summary is he does admit that he did suspect her of possessing powers, but he says that others would kill for it. He also forbids her to train and like work on those powers, and to disregard the info about the war that Reese told her.
Yeah.
Yeah. So short summary, but yeah, what else do you got?
The biggest thing is like, she's like, hey, I could use my powers against Hybern. And Tam just tells her that's out of the question, especially as there will be no war against Hybern. And Yeah, like you said, he is just Tam is 100% against her training at all. Lucian's like, hey, we could like train her in secret though. And Tam's like, fucking no, and there will be no war with Highburn. And it's very uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And the last quote she has here, I think is very telling of like where her emotional state is right now. This is her inner monologue. She says, he was the High Lord, my High Lord. He was the shield and defender of his people, of me. And if keeping me safe meant that his people could continue to hope, to build a new life, that he could do the same, I could bow to him on this one thing. I could do it. And then she thinks to herself, you are no one's subject, which is what Rhys told her. Maybe Rhys had altered my mind, shields or known. The thought alone was enough for me to begin feeding Tamlin details once more. So she is like, really, it seems like she's only going along with Tam here because she thinks that it's possible Rhys has altered her mind, like magicked her mind somehow.
Well, and I also think that she does genuinely care about the people in the Spring Court.
For
like
sure.
She does want to help them and feels like because this is what Tamlin's trying to do, like this might be the way for me to help. But she also needs to address the way that she's being treated and what she needs.
Yes.
So yeah, it's just not pretty. Tamlin's a fuck.
Somehow it gets even worse in chapter 8 though.
Oh my god.
Let's finish this up.
Yeah, so my notes on this chapter are extremely short.
It's tithe day, hooray!
Tithe, it's time for the tithe. So she sits through this shit.
Yeah.
She's sitting there watching Lucian count up the money, watch Tamlin do his duty until is it a water wraith or river wraith?
A water
wraith. Isn't that just a siren?
Kind of.
She says that she cannot pay.
Yeah.
There
are
no
fish in the lake. She keeps saying that.
And Tam is like, sucks to suck.
You have
Sucks
3
to suck,
days, bitch.
Or else.
Yeah.
Well, he says you have 3 days, or you can pay double next time.
And she says again, there are no fish in the lake.
Yeah.
The fuck do you want from me?
Yeah.
God, this guy sucks. I appreciate how, because I feel like it would be a very easy thing to do to make this like, oh, a sweet, young, innocent girl to really make you feel for her not having the fish, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But no, Sarah J. Maas goes out of her way to like describe this water wraith as like fucking terrifying.
Yes.
But yet I still felt awful for this poor water wraith.
Yes.
And just was like, yo, fuck off, Tam. Help her. Quit trying to make her fucking
Team Water
pay.
Wraith.
Yes, 100% Team Water Wraith. Despite the fact, like I said, that the way she is described multiple times, like Feyre is like uncomfortable with her and yet still goes to help her.
Yeah.
Like that's good stuff.
So yeah, Feyre really struggles with this interaction.
Yeah. She's like, we
and
don't
when
need
she confronts
a basket of damn fish, bro.
Yeah.
What the hell
when
are
she
you doing?
confronts Tamlin about this, he says, well, that's because this is how it's always been.
When he said that.
Brother.
He says
it's how my father did it
Yep.
and how his father did it before him. Let the boy watch.
Let the boy watch.
He needs to learn.
Didn't he hate his father?
Yes.
Apparently was horrified by the things his
so
father
he says.
did.
I don't know, man.
I will say this is where I took the note. I was like, okay, this book kind of seemed to be going super out of its way to make Tam seem like a fucking unlikable dumbass douchebag. Like, to an extreme degree. Like, there's not much subtlety here about this piece of shit.
Well, I don't think it's not that it's heavy-handed. I think that this is just the actual Tamlin. Like, last book was a facade.
Well, so, and you're probably right. This was the only point where I was just then started to think, okay, is she doing this so she can pull the old switcheroo on us? She can pull a razzle dazzle. Is she making Reese seem super duper likable and Tam a piece of shit is because she's got some big twist in store? Because as of right now, this cut and dry. It's Jover.
It's all Jover. Now.
Yeah, it's all Jover, but the crying right now. Like,
special 2 plums for one.
I hate you.
It's all in the poor boy.
Dude.
Do you want to hear that one again?
Yes.
Because I'm doing it to you.
It's all in the poor boy.
You are torturing the poor boy. You gotta add
what?
You gotta add what does he say? Make the bald man fly.
Stupid
Robin Ern.
Yeah. I don't have that one.
Okay,
Sorry.
so what am I fucking saying?
I said, is this a ruse? Basically, more or less.
Right. Yeah, no, I think that this is just actual Tamlin, but you do bring up a good point. I am sure that the direction of Rhysand is not going to be black and white. He's just inherently good. I think that he's still going to be a morally gray character. And I don't think
you're talking about?
Yeah, Rhysand. Because what you're saying is that, like, okay, well, if this is how it is, then it's clear. We have good Rhysand, bad Tamlin.
Right.
But I think that both of them are still going to have some morally gray stuff later, but I kind of just feel like we're past Tamlin. Like Tamlin is a shitbag.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's where I'm at.
You might be right. You might be right. I'm not saying I think that's what's coming, that there's some big twist coming. I just started to wonder because it was like it was going so far in that direction. After a whole book of Tam and Feyre's love story.
Yeah.
It's now just like 8 chapters in, just 100% the other way.
See, I don't think it'll be a twist. I think it'll be revelations on Tamlin.
Okay, sure.
Like,
fair enough.
Because right now, I mean, it has been kind of in your face about like how Feyre's feeling, but you could still feasibly make the argument of like Tamlin loves her and truly is like trying to protect, and all he knows is like controlling people and the violence like aspect.
Yes.
Like that's his, you know, he is a beast. House of the Beast, right?
Truly.
So like the argument's there. I think it's kind of weak, obviously. But I could see people saying like, dude, like she just became High Fae. Like he still probably is like struggling with realizing that like she can take care of herself or trusting her to, you know, like I think that like that argument can be there, but I think that we'll get more revelations on like, nah, Tamlin just ain't it.
Yeah. I think you're probably right. I think, well, I don't know. I guess I think to me it would be more interesting if it was more, and listen, I'm speaking way out of turn here, but if it was more of like a choice, and you're probably right, we will get shades of gray from the both of them, but as of right now,
50 of them.
This is, yeah, true. 50 Shades of Fisty.
Oh, that's a deep cut.
Right now, there's just like, there's no like question. There's no like choice I have to make. Like there is no Team Edgar and Team whoever else. It's just Team Night Court. And I'm still partially on Team Dusk Court, but that's beside the point.
No, I get what you're saying. I mean, look, the masses can't unanimously say that this book is the best.
That's fair. You know what?
If it is
a fair point. We're 8 chapters
just a
in,
black
and I'm
and
already
white.
calling it. I'm just like,
yeah,
it's
dude,
done.
come on.
It's fucking done.
Truly, dude. Check it again.
True. I need to see. That's why I keep this one on hand. I need to remind myself.
Jacket the cat.
You gotta put oh god, Purple Eyes fucking rules, man. You
Dude,
gotta put
Purple Eyes.
I've
sure.
never even seen this show.
Dude, I tried to refrain from too many Purple Eyes ones because he is just the most obscure deep cuts we have.
Dude.
Okay, we should get back to this.
Yeah, okay, look, let's make this quick.
Feyre storms out.
Yes. And then she goes and finds the water wraith and gives jewelry to her.
Yes.
And the water wraith is like, what do you want for this?
Right.
Like, what do you like? Do I need to suck your dick? Like, what is happening here?
Well, she didn't exactly say that.
I mean, I'm pretty sure. And Feyre's like, nah, dude, like, I got Tamlin. Tamlin's gonna suck my dick.
God. No, she Feyre is not thinking of Tamlin at this moment.
No,
she's too fucking pissed at him.
You're right. You're right. She's not. She says, no, seriously, just take it. Please take it.
This was a touching scene.
It really was. And still skeptical, the water wraith realizes, like, okay, like, I guess I can trust you. And she says, I will not forget this kindness. Me or my... Does she say my sisters?
My sisters, nor will any of my sisters.
Forget this kindness.
You know 100% who that speaks to.
Who does that speak to?
To Feyre. Because of her sisters.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were, like, trying to make a...
No.
Like a reference, like a...
You're thinking I'm on a higher plane of thinking. I'm not. Dude. I'm super not.
You're just...
yeah, Feyre, because, like, Tam is now pissed about this. It was like, oh, it's not how we do things. You're just... It calls her, like, a gluttonous water wraith at some point.
And,
like,
and I love that Feyre stands up for herself because she's like, listen, dude, I was fucking there.
Yes, exactly.
And
that's
like,
why
it wasn't...
it speaks to her.
Yeah. Basically, stop being a piece of shit. Like,
yes.
I have new jewelry every day.
Yeah, she says, I've never worn
need this.
The same jewelry twice. It means nothing to me. And I remember what it was like going back to my sisters, my family, with nothing to eat. And Tam's like,
it's good.
Hey, you're making... It undermines the laws of our core, and it makes us look weak. And I loved this because Feyre just stands up for herself and she's like, don't talk to me like that. And Lucien also, to his credit, still love Lucien. Lucien's still my goat. Defends her and she's like, dude, she didn't mean any harm. Like, a lot of worse things could have happened. Like,
and Tamlin is a fucking cunt.
He's a giant fucking cunt. Lucien literally tells him, like, my dude, you need to relax. And Lucian's like, did I ask for your opinion? Like, this fucking guy. He does not yell at my dude Lucien. So yeah, this is when we get a small taste of Feyre's other potential powers. Let's see, what do I have here? Push back, he's wrong and we're right. Lucian's jaw tightened. Do not back down. Then I was gone. Still there, still seeing through my eyes, but also half looking through another angle in the room, another person's vantage point. Thoughts slammed into me, images and memories. A pattern of thinking and feeling that was old and clever and sad. So endlessly sad and guilt-ridden. Hopeless. Dude, fucking make me feel for my dude Lucien. Jesus Christ, he is going through some shit.
Ugh.
Then I was back, blinking.
I love this.
No more than a heartbeat passing as I gaped at Lucien. His head, I'd been inside his head, had slid through his mental walls. That is, A, some super heavy shit that my dude Lucien is going through. And B, just like, Yeah, Feyre can do some shit. And the last thing I have here is just Tamlin continuing to be king asshole. We're not finished with this meal. And I love this line from Feyre. Oh, get over yourself, she yells and left. And she also says, I could have sworn I beheld 2 burned handprints on the wood peeking out from the napkin. I prayed neither of them noticed and that Lucien remained ignorant to the violation I just committed. Oh, boy. Intrigue. This is what I wanted so much of in the first book, by the way.
Yes.
Give me some of that sweet, sweet conflict, baby.
Dude, I have to say, these 8 chapters are already better than the entirety of the last book.
I think you're probably right. Like, the last book was fun and interesting in parts, but... And I also, I have to acknowledge that there's a lot of setup and legwork that has to be done by any first entry into a series, like lore building and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a difficult job on its own, but I in principle, I agree with what you're saying, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, it just... Yes, last book had to set stuff up, but, like, we have characters, like... I guess it is more of like a sophomore book. Like, it does need to, like, I love that, like, characters are coming into themselves and, like, being honest with themselves, and therefore giving us, the readers, a true experience of, like, where they're at. And I guess, like, it's not to say that the last book was not a true experience of where they were at. It's just, it was... I don't know. I guess maybe I'm slightly jaded because it was so much of their relationship was fake.
Yeah, no, 100%.
I don't know.
Well, and like
It's
you and I talked about so many times, like the biggest problems we had were not enough characters, and we're already getting a huge, we talked about this a bunch, but a huge widening of scope in the world.
Yes.
And not enough, like, conflict. Like, until, like, the back, third or whatever it was, quarter of the book where they're under the mountain, it was just like all lovey-dovey perfection between her and Tam, which is more interesting in hindsight because it's all built on a lie. But at the time, it was just kind of like, okay, oh, now they're in fucking frolicking in a field again. And they're like having sex with ghosts in a pool of starlight under the moon or some shit like that. It's like,
sweaty fiddle diddling.
Yeah, that old chestnut, that fucking common ass thing that they did all the time. So yeah, I'm 100% with you.
Yeah, man, this I'm sure everybody who has sat through 2.5 hours of this fucking episode can tell that
we're invested.
I had a good fucking time with these chapters, man. Yeah, I'm definitely invested. And honestly, like, I'm really looking forward to more of, like, I feel like her weeks with Rhysand are gonna, like, it's just such a perfect setup. Like, we're gonna have to like push through, and I don't think it's gonna be a slog. I still think there's gonna be interesting stuff, but we're gonna have to push through, like, the bullshitness of Tamlin and their whole situation there, and then we're gonna get this refreshing, like, it's such a great.
We're gonna be waiting and hoping and praying for the week a month that she has to spend with Rhysand.
Yes,
because that's what I want,
and like, also
that's what's interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely, and also, next time she's with Rhysand, she's definitely gonna hang out with Mor.
She better hang out with Morrigan more.
She's 100%.
Because that's all I want.
I can feel it down in my plums.
I can feel it in my plums for Morrigan.
Hell yeah,
100%.
What else you got? Anything else?
That's all I had. I think we did enough of our theorizing and kind of just kind of section wrap up there. Unless you had something else.
No, I think.
Okay, hell yeah. Let's go to Who Be Courtin'.
Who be courting?
All right.
Scotty, tell me who is courting?
Who is courting? So at the end of the last book, ACOTAR, we had chosen Reese as our most courting. We were loving us some Reese. Feyre was in the number 2 spot. She did do some good stuff. I'm mad that we gave Tamlin third. In hindsight, he did go Super Saiyan and fucking like slam Anrantha through a wall, which I think was like the only credit we gave him.
Mm-hmm.
Lucian threw a sword or something. I don't know what he did. And then I do remember we were struggling to come up with anyone that did anything else. So we gave it to our guy, Misty Vizzy, aka the mysterious visitor that talked with, was it the Ator?
Yes.
That Feyre overheard with the handmaidens. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not enough characters. So okay. Let's go ahead and do this first of all. We're just gonna delete Tamlin from this list, probably forever. Reese can stay at 1. Yes. Can we agree?
Yeah, that's who I was gonna. I thought that you might petition Feyre or Morrigan, but no, yes, it's Reese.
I can tell you right now, if Morrigan does, I will kill someone before I let Morrigan not be on this list.
Morrigan's gonna be on the list.
I will turn this podcast around and start it the fuck over if need be. But Reese is number 1, right?
Yeah, 1000%.
I think Feyre probably stays at 2 also.
I also agree with this.
Third is then either Lucian or Morgan for me.
For me, it's Lucian.
I love Lucian. I probably can't argue. I just wanted more of Morgan. So
yeah.
I think I'm
definitely. I think Morgan's definitely going to have her time to be on this list.
But already, again, phenomenal introduction. I'm super in love with her, and not just because her name is Morgan, but also just because her name is Morgan. So Morgan at 4, yes, agreed.
Yeah, I think that's good.
And then who do we put at 5?
Do we go? I love that our videos just have the text just like shrinking and.
Don't worry about it, man. I'm the best production engineer of all time over here.
Do we go? Alice was pretty good. Like, she really only had a couple lines with her,
barely present.
Do we go Ianthe?
I'm kind of intrigued by Ianthe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't love her, but I am curious about her. I do not want to put Tamlin's ass on this list.
I mean, Tamlin did eat his own spud.
Quit calling it spud. That's a potato.
If I recall correctly.
You ever make the 8, Barristan?
And I believe so, Your Grace.
Dude, the laugh at the end of that one kills me.
And I believe so, Your Grace.
Oh,
Dude.
fucking shouts to the goat Barristan Selby.
Mark Addy fucking rules. No, yeah, I think Ianthe is
Okay. We're not forgetting anyone, are we?
No.
Okay, good. You're more sure than I am. I feel like we're forgetting someone.
I mean, there's like those two fuckers that talk to
there are those
Ianthe.
two. No.
Braun and Hobbs and Shaw.
Hobbs and Shaw.
What the fuck are their names, dude?
We are 100% calling them Hobbs and Shaw.
Braun and Hart.
Hobbs and Shaw is so good. Oh my god.
Jack is a cat.
Oh my god. It's definitely Hobbs and Shaw. I checked it again and it's Hobbs and Shaw. Survey says. Okay. I think that's Ianthe as our 5th. Okay. For those counting at home, this has been Hoobie Corton. Reese stays atop his spot at number 1, Feyre at 2, Lucian at 3, Morrigan at 4, and Ianthe at 5. Zachy boy, this has probably gone on long enough. You should get us the hell out of here.
Follow us on
Special
Instagram.
2 clones for 1.
You guys can follow us on Instagram at Mythkeepers. You can support us on Patreon if you guys would like access to our exclusive content.
I have too much power. I have too much
Unlimited power.
Yeah, I need that one. I definitely need that one.
If you guys would like to support the show, get access to our exclusive content, Scotty and I do chat before the episode. We talk about what movies, games, books, anything that we're into recently. Sometimes we play some cheeky games.
Watch.
Let the boy inside you all watch. And go support us on Patreon at patreon.com/mythkeepers. We also have some merch out too. We've got some hoodies, Mythkeeper hoodies. We've got the nice logo on the back of the hoodie here. We've got some new stuff coming out here pretty soon as well. You can find all of that at our website at mythkeeperspod.com. All of our links are here on the YouTube video, and they'll be in the links in the description down below. Listen, we love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and we will see you next time with another 8 chapters of A Court of Mist and Fury. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for putting up with our bullshit.
Truly.
I'm a cat. I'm a sexy cat.
Dude, that was fucking recent purring all over the place, brother.
That is so recent.
I'm a cat. I'm a sexy cat. Oh my god.
Fuck me.